Was there any sort of recruitment process with Jonathan, or did he kind of come to you?
He came to us. With the school, it's very strict. We're not allowed to recruit players. Like their schools are very concerned that students will come to a school because of a program, right? Well, that's what happens anyway, in no matter what school. Like students go to a school if they want to study music, they'll go to the best music school. So it's kind of natural for kids to want to come to our school. So Johnny, being the soccer maniac that he is, it was just natural for him, and he didn't live really far from the school, so it was easy for him to make the switch.
And what type of kid was he when you first met him? Do you remember the first day you encountered him?
I in a bit. I remember because usually with like when we're not in COVID situation, usually the kids will come in for a day, experience the program because we want to make sure that they're they fit the program, but also that the program fits them. Because I always explain to the kids, don't forget that this is what you're going to do for at least 4 years of your life. You're going to be training every day, doing soccer, fitness, sports psychology, etc. So it's not for everyone. Usually we'll start like in grade 9, we'll have a big group of, I don't know, 20, 25 kids. But by the time we get to grade 12, we'll probably end up with between 15 and 9 kids. So that's because most of the kids see that there's no more light at the end of the tunnel. They don't see the benefit of training so hard. They don't enjoy it. So Johnny came in for a tryout, or if you will, to experience the program. And if I remember correctly, me and the other coach I was working with me at that time, and we're like, yeah, we're taking him, no doubt. So, um, but yeah, he was extremely quiet. Is the way to express himself was with the ball, like he does now. He doesn't talk much. You don't see him much on social media. You don't see him doing too many interviews. So that's Johnny in a nutshell right there. So that's how he was even when he was younger. Well, at least when he arrived here in grade 9.
So I was reading a bit. It was a quote from you saying that soccer is no longer kind of a secondary sport or
Hmm.
a hobby in Ottawa. Since Jonathan has left, it seems that kids really want to play soccer and they can conceive it's a conceivable future for them.
Oh, absolutely. It's just the way, just the discussions that you have with kids. You can have a discussion 24/7 just about football all the time. And like, let's say 15, 20 years ago, it wasn't like that. It would have been, oh, did you see the Champions League game? And then, oh yeah, yeah, the final. And then you'd move on to hockey, you know, or whatever sport was in the news at that time, or on that day. But now it's like people know clubs from Ligue 1 because a lot because of Johnny, but also because we have students that come from different countries, Morocco, France, obviously. So these people bring their experiences, and they have discussions with with the other players, and then the other players know. Of course, they know the big clubs, like PSG, and now they know Lille, maybe Monaco. But now they're starting to know a little bit more the smaller clubs, and the same with Germany. England is the easy one because it's the one that's mostly in the media. But I find like kids, like we have some Colombian kids in the program, and now they're bringing their Colombian heritage, if you will, and talking about Colombian players, and so it's just natural discussion now. Like every time you go sit down with kids at lunch or whatever, or in the bus, they'll be talking football. It's not like they might be talking a bit about basketball, but a lot less than before. And hockey, they rarely talk about hockey.
Wow, maybe because the Senators aren't very good.
Probably.
So Jonathan moved to Ghent at age 18.
Yeah.
I'm interested to know how much of the finished product would you say he was at 18, and how much growth have you seen since, and in what areas?
I've seen a lot of growth in his confidence. just because it was another level. Not saying that he didn't have confidence, because Johnny, like I said, is very quiet, but he always got the job done. No matter who he was playing against. This is what I've noticed with players that usually are like Johnny. When they cross that line, like the sideline, it doesn't matter, or the touch line, sorry, it doesn't matter who they're playing against. They can be playing against players 2 years younger, or a men's team, or just a friendly kick around with their friends. The mindset is the same. It doesn't matter. So I think that Johnny having that confidence, but then every time he was coming into a new challenge, like when he moved to Ghent, it took him a little while to get going, and then when he went to Lille, the same thing. Like there was this weekend when he scored after the game, he was part of the post game interview, and they told him, last year you came in at around this time of the season, and you were struggling to adapt, and now you're just you're flying, you're scoring with your national team, you're scoring with Lille. So what's the difference? And then how do you recover from all these games and being on top? And typical Johnny answer was just, I guess I'm young. And that was just his answer. I'm young, I can recover quickly. Like he didn't want to dwell on the past, saying that it was a tough time, but whatever. I've moved on. I think that's how he feels, and that's how great athletes address those situations. Other than that, I think he's shown a lot of maturity adapting to the style of plays of the different teams. Yes, the adaptation was normal, but and this year he's changed coach again, with a new coach at Lille, but he's shown that he can play under different leadership and still deliver.
So he kind of took an interesting route to where he is now. Were you aware of his desire to play in Europe? Did he ever
Absolutely.
consider another route, or?
Yes, he had options to go to all three clubs in Canada: Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal. He was even offered to go train with the Auto Fury, which is now, well, not now, but gone, and now we have Atletico Ottawa. And no, he didn't want to commit, because he felt that his place was in Europe. And I mean, I don't have all the details as to why he chose Belgium, but I think that was two of the reasons was probably because, one, they wanted him, and they probably told him, like, we see you in our plans, because it didn't take him long to go from U19 to the pro team. And also because he felt that was a good stepping stone, to at least integrate Europe. Because if you go to Germany, well, if you go to any of the five or top six leagues, then it's a little harder maybe to get some playing time. And he said again this week, because people were asking him, where are you going to end up? Because there's rumors, Liverpool, Man United, whatever. Yeah. And he was like, I'm going to go where I can play. And that's, if I go to another level, I need to play. I'm not just going to go there just to wear a jersey. And that's been, he's been very smart in that sense, because, we've seen so many players go to big clubs and then they just disappear. There was a player in Montreal that went from Montreal to Barcelona, and he was playing with he was playing U19s or Barca B, and he never made it to even the bench for the first team. It's a lot of pressure. So I think it's always better to take it step by step, just like any objective. Unless you're Ronaldo and Messi or one of those, big names, you can go wherever you want. And once you've played in all the events or the games that these guys have played, there's not too much pressure no matter where you go. Johnny was smart. He played Europa League when he was in Ghent. Now he's playing Champions League. Played against Roma. So in the Europa League, I mean, but yeah, he's played. Now he's getting experience in some big games. Of course, played Mexico. So yeah, I think it's the way he's doing it is very smart. It's not, obviously we can't tell all of our players, well, you should look at Johnny's pathway, because it's very unique. Like you said, up until he was 18, he was training here. until he graduated, he was training here and he was training with his club. So I remember I think it was when he graduated, or was it during the summer? I saw him and he told me, he said, I'm going to Belgium, but we can't announce it yet because I'm not 18. So we're waiting until January. So he didn't want to go there and then, something could happen, get injured, or he wanted to stay here, focus in his train in his environment, and then go to Europe when everything he had a legal, or not illegal, not that he would get a legal contract, but when he was ready to go, I can play in the first team if I show that I can, because we had another player a few years before who got recruited by it's a uh, big academy in France. I forget the name. Anyway, they're very renowned for developing players in
Le
France.
Havre.
No, not Clav. Um,
You said it way better than I did.
but anyway, he went there, I think, for a year or two, and he was loving it, but he wasn't allowed to play because he didn't have European citizenship. So he was only allowed to train. So eventually, like FIFA didn't accept his papers, so he came back. He ended up playing for Montreal Academy, but he went there and he wasn't allowed to play. So we have to be careful when we tell, because a lot of coaches make promises to kids. Oh, I'm going to send you to Europe. I'm going to send you to this club. It's very complicated. Unless you have European citizenship, it's very complicated. So Johnny was aware of all that. So I think that the people that were managing and advising him were very wise in that sense. But again, we have to be careful and maybe not cut chances for other players that might get a chance to play for TFC or CF Montreal or Whitecaps, or even the CPL now. Unfortunately, they don't have academy teams yet, but hopefully this will be in their plans because that would be awesome.
Yeah, I imagine that's the next step for them. They're expanding
Auxerre.
plenty. So
The name of the club is Auxerre. Sorry,
okay, I'm not
Auxerre.
familiar with that one.
No, yeah, they had a really good reputation back in the late 2000s, early 2010s for developing French players, French footballers.
Um, I want to ask, from the time that you met him till the point he graduated, when did a future in European football kind of become an option? Do you think from day one you're like, this kid's gonna go places? And
That's
when
so
did
hard. Yeah,
when
that's
did he
so hard to
start?
tell. That's so hard to tell. We're not very good, and I mean we and as a community, like the football community, we're not very good at talent identification. So we have to be careful. Like we knew that Johnny was special. He was different than the other players in the sense that he was very explosive. His finishing was very good. Like his finishing rate or ratio was extremely good. Um, Quick acceleration, quick turns. So he had qualities that stood out. His soccer IQ, like I said, for us, he played as a 10 a lot of the times in the middle. So his soccer IQ was really good, finding his teammates, and you can see it right when he plays. Yes, he's a poacher, Johnny on the spot, but at the same time, like he finds his teammates. Like he's patient and he finds the space. So, but yeah, to say that I knew at that point that he was going to go to Europe, I'd be lying. Um, we knew there was a lot of interest from clubs in Canada, and we were, to be honest, we were trying to convince him, in a sense, to go at least train with them. We said, listen, we're happy that you're happy here with your club and with us, but just going to that environment is going to give you this extra preparation. But he felt confident enough to stay here, and until the last minute, he graduated and then trained for one summer, and then in January he was off. I mean, he went for trials while he was at school here. He went for trials in Germany and Belgium, and but those didn't pan out. So
So you mentioned, that you guys played him in midfield. He's obviously a very flexible player, tactics wise. But now he's kind of in the conversation. These aren't my words. I've read these kind of articles. They're probably from Canadian, Canadian folks that are saying, is he in that conversation for, top 10, 15 strikers in the world? What do you think, are the qualities that have led him to be such a successful striker, despite the fact that even for Canada at times, or for you guys, that he is playing elsewhere on the pitch?
I think his biggest asset is the fact is understanding of the game, like to be in the right place at the right time. Like he's extremely fast, like I mentioned earlier, but he doesn't run when he doesn't need to. And I don't mean that in a sense that he's lazy, because Johnny is not lazy. It's just that he knows when to go and when to hold back, depending on the space, where the space is, where his teammates and his opponents are, the ball, the net. And that's why we see so many goals that the ball just falls at his feet, because everyone's jumping, fighting for the ball, and poop, Johnny is right there. So, and that's for me. So depending where you play him, because when we were playing in the middle, he was running a lot more than when he was playing as a striker, obviously. But when he was playing in the middle, he was, he was winning balls, and he was finding the space to recover. So I think as a striker, that's his biggest asset. Then the second one is one of his nicknames is Iceman, right? So Johnny on the spot, Iceman. So he's so calm on the ball. So when the ball falls at his feet, it's almost like things go in slow motion, and he just sees the space and just puts it there between the legs, between the post and the hand, whatever. So, but these are not. So some people sometimes say, "Oh, but this is like an ugly goal," or yeah. So maybe it's not like a bicycle kick, or or swerving free kick, or. But he's a striker. That's what he needs to do, and that's what he's doing. He's an expert at it, exactly finding where to be to get the job done. So it's amazing.
I think that was evident in the goal against Costa Rica. It looked like an easy goal, but I think the way he moved the ball to the side and got into open space to shoot it was an underrated goal. I was hanging out with guys that aren't really soccer fans. I don't think they could appreciate it, but I was like,
Yeah,
that's especially because he hadn't been scoring for the national team at that point, and there was a lot of
yeah,
pressure, and he was the starting striker. I was like, that's going to be the goal to get him going, because
yeah.
sometimes that's all it takes.
And to the untrained eye, it would be like, so the ball just fell into his feet. He was lucky to be there, but no, everyone, like I just explained, everyone jumped up, and when the ball landed, everyone was still in the air. So he just took a touch and bam.
What was it like, watching him win a league title in his first season? But I guess Monaco is the only team to not name PSG to win it in the last 7 years.
Hmm.
What was that like for you as a fan of Jonathan David and his former coach and his friend?
It was unbelievable. Like I've been living a lot of emotions with Johnny and Vanessa. I mean, not we're not talking about Vanessa, but in the past year or the past 2 years, it's been unbelievable. I've been very lucky to have been involved in helping them in whichever way, maybe providing some tools, like I mentioned earlier. Um, but to see him win the Belgium championship and then go to Lille, where PSG is supposed to win everything, just walk through and yeah, we'll take this trophy, that trophy. And if I remember correctly, last year they beat PSG to the title, but they also beat them to the Coupe de France or Coupe des Champions. I can't remember which one. And then they beat them again this year at the start of the season, their first game before the season started. So I mean, it's been unbelievable. It's been so much fun to watch. It's funny because I have 3 kids at home. I have 2 boys and a girl, and my daughter's only 6. And when Lil plays, she goes, "Oh, is Jonathan playing?" So it's kind of funny. She doesn't have the same voice that I just did, but it's funny. Now she's starting to recognize Johnny and Vanessa when we watch the game. So it's fun. It's a lot of fun. And my boys are so happy. We all have Johnny's jersey, like the 3 guys. We have Johnny's
Um,
jersey from Lil.
where
Oh yeah, I'm so because they don't have like the inventory is so low on the
yeah,
Soccer Canada website. So I'm hoping that we're hoping to get jerseys for the January 30th game, but then it's going to be so cold, no one will see it.
That
So
doesn't matter.
yeah,
It's about
yeah.
repping Johnny. Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, we're hoping to get those jerseys, but we have the Lille jerseys for now, and I ordered them directly from Lille because I couldn't find them anywhere else in Canada. So I had them delivered to a friend in Belgium, and then she sent them to us in Ottawa.
My friend got one for Christmas, I think. And yeah, the only place they could find them was the official team website. And of course,
They're
yeah,
really nice quality too. Like I never owned a New Balance jersey before, and it's really nice. So the first time I ordered it, I only ordered one for myself. I guess I was very selfish. And I ordered the Johnny jersey. It gets to my place like 2 months later. There's no number or name in the back. So I had to reorder. So I told my boys, I said, "Do you want one this time? I'm reordering." And like, yeah, we want one. So and I got some friends. So I ended up ordering like 6 jerseys. So it was pretty cool.
just a big
Exciting. It
Jonathan
was
David Hall.
exciting. Yeah, like when I received the box and they were all Johnny's jersey, I'm like, wow, this is like unreal. Opening a box full of Jonathan David. I'm like, this is crazy. So
Okay, well, if I see you guys in Hamilton, I'm gonna check that you're all repping. He had the option to play for Haiti as well as the US. Did he ever kind of express to you why he wanted to stick with Canada?
I don't I'm trying to remember if it's when I spoke to him or if it's something I read in an article. But he had mentioned that he grew most of his time was in Canada, and Canada had given him everything that he had so far in his life, and also like the opportunities with the national teams at the younger ages, because that's something else that a lot of people forget is that like Johnny did come out of nowhere. He was captain of the U17s when they were qualifying for the World Cup. He was like their top scorer and all that. So he didn't come out of nowhere. And like I mentioned before, the clubs, all 3 MLS clubs, were looking to sign him. So it's just that people who weren't in the soccer community, especially the Canadian soccer community, didn't know him. But that didn't mean that he wasn't already a top player. Clubs in Europe were interested in him when he was 16. I haven't seen him play with the national team. A lot of people talk to me and say, "Yeah, but he didn't sign with a MLS academy, or so how did he get noticed?" Well, he was on the national team. That's how people already knew. And yes, his agent helped a lot for sure. But that's how he got noticed. When you go to those tournaments, it's easy to make a highlight video because everything is filmed. So chances are that you will get noticed.
Right. Well, those are all the questions I have for you. And let me thank you again so much. It's so fascinating to talk to you today.
My pleasure. Anytime.